Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to March Mystery Madness. This is a venerable BookTube event that is now in its ninth year, where, as the title suggests, we celebrate murder mysteries of all types. I have been having a blast so far, and the month has just begun. I love reading murder mysteries anyway. I saturate myself in them all year. But how wonderful it is to be helping to co-host an old BookTube event that is so popular and is so designed to celebrate murder mysteries. And since March Mystery Madness is in its ninth year, one of the prompts that you can indulge in if you want to do a prompt is to read the ninth book in a series. Mystery writers love to do series, and so many mystery series have gotten up to number 9. And I decided to forego all other prompts, at least intentionally. I probably hit some of them accidentally, and just read number 9 in Murder Mystery series throughout the whole month and talk about them a little. And I wanted to start off with the Queen of Mystery. That is Agatha Christie. So I went with Miss Marple and the ninth Miss Marple mystery, a Caribbean mystery, which came out in 1964 and had a bit of a mixed reaction from critics and has had one ever since. The more that mystery cognoscenti look back at this book, the more formulaic they find it and the less likely. There's a lot of unlikely stuff that happens in here. But fans loved it. And a lot of newspaper critics, just ordinary daytime newspaper critics at the time that it came out, said it's classic Christie. I read it a couple of times. I don't know if I read it when it came out, but I've read it at least a couple of times before. But the thing about Agatha Christie novels, for the most part, this is not meant as a slam. The thing about Agatha Christie novels is that they tend to blur together. So it's not all that criminal to forget how many times or how closely you've read any of her mysteries. So I went at this one. I loaded it onto my Kindle Scribe. I'm doing a huge amount of reading on the Kindle Scribe, not on the iPad here. I gave you this for color pictures. The Kindle Scribe is a big full-page Kindle that also has lots of, as the name suggests, lots of writing capabilities. The person who very kindly gave it to me sent it to me with a stylus. I don't use the stylus. I don't use any of the writing technology, but I found that I really enjoy reading on it because it's the size of a full book page. I love my Kindle. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic for, on the subway or on the train or whatnot. But sitting up in bed, with the bean sleeping on top of me, it's something rather nice. But not always hitting the refresh button, not always hitting the page turn. You've got a full page in front of you. So I've been doing a lot of reading on that. I would never trust, without a cast iron case, I would never trust myself to bring a Kindle Scribe outside of Hyde Cottage to the hurly-burly of the world. No way. A little 6-inch Kindle is indestructible, but that thing, I'd be afraid of scratching it or something like that. So it's by the bedside, where it can live forever on a charge, so it stays by the bedside. So that I wouldn't worry about it, I just loaded it with 6,000 books, so that anything I feel like reading, I'm going to want, and everything new that I get. If I get a new ebook, I send it right over to that, so that it's there if I want it to. And I was reading it on the Kindle Scribe, but it was freaking me out. The Kindle Scribe will show you the cover of whatever you're reading. That's your rest screen when you're not using the device. And the cover that I had was an old Fontana paperback cover with an eyeball hovering over a Caribbean scene. I said when I showed that to you originally that I didn't know what was going on in that cover. And then, of course, one of you reminded me of what I realized as soon as I started rereading the book. There is, of course, an excellent reason why there's an eyeball on the cover of the book. And I noticed when I was looking around online that plenty of other covers have made use of that same thing. It's so grotesque. It's so dumb. It just shows how dumb, how lazy lots of cover artists are. But I will get to it. I will get to the reason why. Without spoiling anything, I will get to the reason why. I want to mention those spoilers. Because we're talking about a mystery every day in March. And ordinarily, I poo-poo the idea of spoilers. Mainly because I hate the exaggerated, almost fetishistic importance that the 21st century reader tends to give anything that could even remotely be called a spoiler. A twist at the end of a novel, knowing a twist at the end of the novel is not spoiling the novel unless it's a bad novel. But when it comes to murder mysteries, that twist can provide the reader with a very palpable joy. It is a very active part of enjoying the book. It's not a question of the whole book relies on it in order to be good. It actually is an active part of how a normal reader who's not hung up on spoilers, would enjoy the book. So I'm going to go out of my way in March to try not to spoil any of the books that I'm talking about, even something 60 years old. This novel takes Miss Marple out of her normal setting. Jane Marple is the protagonist here. She is one of Agatha Christie's two famous protagonists. And her shtick, her gimmick as a mystery character, is that she is a little old lady who lives in a little English village named St. Mary Mead. And she knows everything about the village. She knows all the gossip. She knows all the backstairs stuff that has happened to everybody in the village. And she has a mind like a bacon slicer, as one of the characters in this novel says in a later novel, and manages to draw from those little dramas in St. Mary Mead insight into human motivation that makes her the ultimate armchair detective. This novel is one of the Miss Marple novels that Agatha Christie wrote that takes her out of that setting. Because we're told at the beginning of the book that Miss Marple is not young. She's very old. We don't know exactly how old. I think she's probably in her late 80s. She's little and frail. Don't let Dame Margaret Rutherford fool you in her great, great movies. Don't let those movies fool you. She's not a warhorse. She's a frail old lady. And she is just, we're told at the beginning of this book, she's just had a major bout of illness, pneumonia. Could easily kill her. It doesn't kill her, but her nephew is a man named Raymond West. And he is overbearing in a kindly way and very, very solicitous in an overbearing way. And he is also, we're told, a famous novelist, a wealthy and famous novelist. Not the first time in an Agatha Christie novel where I get a toss-off detail about another character, especially a supporting character, and I want a whole book about them or a whole series of books about them. Does Raymond West solve crimes? Does he know that his aunt? He must know that his aunt is involved in one crime-solving adventure after another. What kind of a novelist is he? We're told in this novel that he's constantly pushing modern literature on his aunt, urging her to read something new, and she poo-poos, and Christie allows her to poo-poo at great length, that it's all sex. It's all about sex. Jane Marple doesn't like that. She's not a prude, but she doesn't like having that all forced on her reading. Which makes me wonder, A, what she does like to read, and B, what's Raymond reading? What's he reading that he's suggesting sexy novels to his octogenarian aunt? But he is worried about her because of her illness, so he sends her on a vacation to the Caribbean. And he has a network of care and support people all along the way, and everyone there is going to pamper her. All she has to do is take care of herself and recover. And when we meet her in this mystery, she is enjoying herself. She is enjoying she finds the physical appearance of the fictional island a little bit monotonous. It's all palm trees, but she enjoys the weather. I reread a wonderful moment in this book. It gave me a little flashback to the times when I have read this book before, when I was not myself the same age as you see before you, when Jane Marple at the beginning of the book, when Christie comments that Jane Marple is never overly warm, and that the warmth of this Caribbean island brings her up to just regularly comfortable. She's still wearing knit sweaters. I was nodding in sympathy because I am always cold, I am always hungry, and the music is always too loud. But she is ingratiating herself to the Caribbean festive atmosphere as best she can. That's not the type of person that she is, but she doesn't want to be rude. And so she finds herself seated across from a garrulous old man named Major Palgrave, who has a million stories to tell her. He's led a long and colorful life. He's another character. I would like to know what he was like at age 40. I'd like an adventure of his. Doesn't have to be a murder mystery. But he's telling her all sorts of stories and gradually edging his way towards the more scandalous stuff. And at one point he says, you wouldn't think that a scenic environment like this would ever have played host to a murder. Now, would you? In fact, he leans forward and asks her a classic Agatha Christie question. He says, would you like to see a picture of a murderer? Because there was a murder, and the investigator of that murder thought it might be a nice keepsake for Major Palgrave to have a photo of the person that the investigator thought was the killer. And we're told that Major Palgrave has a hugely overstuffed wallet. He has all kinds of junk in there. And when he goes fishing through it, Miss Marple, of course, demurs. He doesn't know that she has seen the face of killers many times before. She has had much more experience with murder than any policeman Major Palgrave is ever going to encounter. That's her the chief fun of the character is that no one guesses what she has seen in the world. And murderers never guess how eerily quickly she sees through them. Maybe not to know the whole plot, but certainly to know that they are wrong, that they are bad apples. She can sense that faster than any major fictional character. Certainly faster than Poirot, Christie's other major character, ever does. So she isn't going to turn him down when he says, "Would you like to see a photo of a murderer?" But Major Palgrave is rummaging through his wallet, and he's exclaiming, "Oh, that's where that is. Oh, I forgot about that." But then when he seems to find the picture and looks up, he abruptly changes his mind. Stuffs his wallet closed again. Immediately starts making a fake. Christie says it's a strained, fake, hail and well-met greeting to some other revelers that he knows at this resort. "Hey, how are you? Nice to see you," that sort of thing. And the whole thing goes away. The whole subject goes away. He abruptly changes the subject. He does not show Miss Marple the picture that he says is the picture of a murder. And the next day, he's found dead. That's how A Caribbean Mystery kicks off. And I don't want to spoil the book for you in case you get to this. You should, because it's tremendously enjoyable. We get a far more human Jane Marple in this novel than we do in a lot of novels. Maybe because she's not in St. Mary Mead anymore, so she's not. You get the feeling in St. Mary Mead that she's not only a champion observer, but a bit of a moral scold. I don't think you would like her in St. Mary Mead, and she certainly wouldn't like you, no matter what you were like. But here, when she's in an alien environment, she seems a little bit more diffident, a little bit more, a little softer. I liked it. I noticed it a lot because I've been reading a couple of Agatha Christie Jane Marple mysteries in which she is in her element, and it's a different characterization. I don't know if maybe that was a reflection of Christie herself, who patterned a lot of the feel of this book on A Caribbean Vacation of her own that she really, really enjoyed. But okay, so I won't spoil the book. But early on, in the shocking wake of Major Palgrave's death, we learned that one of his eyes was false, that one of his eyes was artificial. He had a false eye. Jane Marple has to correct a couple of people in the course of this novel who say, "Oh, they had an evil eye." Then she has to tell people just patiently, but a little bit strictly, that no, this is just a medical thing. There's nothing supernatural about it. He had a prosthetic eye. He had an artificial eye. That's all. It's a canny way on Christie's part to invoke evil, to bring it into the atmosphere of the novel, even while it's being dispelled, even while the main character is dispensing with that idea. And believe it or not, I don't want to spoil the novel, but believe it or not, in a twist that only Agatha Christie could get away with a straight face, the false eye is crucial to the solving of the mystery. In a way that only Christie, I mean, she was world famous by now, but at this point, in 1964, she was easily the world's best-selling author, and would remain so. In fact, probably is still. So it's not like her editor was going to say, Agatha, I don't know. It's not like anybody was ever going to say that. But that explains why so many lurid covers for this mystery feature an eyeball. That explains why. Because Major Palgrave had a false eye. I want to stress, for those of you who might be a little bit on the queasy side, maybe a little sensitive as readers, it doesn't go bouncing around the place like you would picture from those covers. But it does play a crucial role. Naturally, as in almost all Jane Marple mysteries, she is absolutely chock-a-block surrounded by shallow, chatty, malicious people. In other words, suspects. She's surrounded by them. And as usual, she sees to the heart of the matter long before anybody else does. Long before. And not in false ways. I really, really enjoyed this. My March Mystery Madness is off to a good start. This was a good reread. I think a lot of my 9th novel in series reads will be rereads. But I think for tonight's, I will try to spice this up. I'll try to shake it up and do a new read. Also number 9 in a series, but something that I haven't read before. And I'll decide I have hours and hours to go before I finalize the night's reading. The mail today brought 2 books that I'm going to read. One with knives out to carve it to pieces, and the other worshipfully. It looks like, oh my God, a quintessential Steve book. So, but I'm still going to want to do some mystery reading, especially during March Mystery Madness. Oh my God. So I don't know what I'll decide yet. I won't exactly spin a wheel, but I'm feeling now, this is like the 3rd time that I've read this book. So I'm thinking now, not only am I done with it, I think that's okay. That's fair to say, right? I mean, Agatha Christie herself would not have said that she was writing imperishable literary masterpieces. I don't think there's any reason, any justification at the ripe old age of 28 that I ever need to read a Caribbean mystery again. But I think next time, I think tonight, new ground. We'll see. I have a lot of candidates, so maybe one of them, maybe another reread will pull to me. I'll let you know next time. So I'll wrap this up. This is the start of my March Mystery Madness now that we're done with Monsignor Knox's Decalogue. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll be back with my next choice. Thank you, BookTube.